Hey, shh. Grandpa's trying to talk. We can't hear him.
About the other room. The other room.
Come on, everybody.
New Mexico, and I looked over toward Alamogordo at 6 o'clock in the morning on the flight line. It was a big flash. I didn't know later that was the first atomic bomb in the cell.
Oh my
And I actually witnessed that.
Really?
The second thing I had, and it's just very fortunate I'm still here, because I worked at Hill Air Force Base. I was 16 at that time, and working on the bombers. And pretty soon we had a crash. The big 4 hangars there at Hillfield. A twin-engine bomber had landed on top of the roof and crashed. And all the gasoline was falling down the floor. The pilot was up in the air, at the top of the hangar, about 90 feet in the air. And I helped push the scaffold over so a guy could climb out that and save the pilot. Then as soon as we had done that, I said, get out of the hangar as fast as you can. Just whether that octane fuel didn't explode.
Oh boy.
There's been a lot of dead people. So that's the 2 events in my life. So. The other events are negligible. I had a lot of damn kids.
A lot of big events, huh?
Yeah.
Well, they have.
Who was the grumpiest kid?
Terry.
Really?
Really?
See pictures
Who's
of my
the
dad.
second?
Danny gets after me once in a while.
After you. Hey, I'm right here, Dad.
I didn't see you there. I'll retract that statement.
And you know that only started since I got older.
Yeah, I know that. Old age sets in.
I know.
I've seen that happen before.
Takes one to know one.
Who has the best scowl?
What's that?
Probably
Who
say
has the
me.
best scowl across their face?
Well, Danny's also my favorite.
Thinking more on Michael. How's that?
Michael was okay, but he worked the hell out of me all the time. So.
And his pay wasn't very good, was it? It wasn't the best.
And Cheryl was a hard worker herself.
Yeah.
What about me? My work.
Everything got over. Now, one thing I know about Johnny and Cheryl,
Uh-oh.
and same with Jessica and Angela, they're natural artists.
Yeah.
They really are.
They pay you to say that?
Yes.
No. No, I can do a lot of work, but I was a slow learner. It took me 30 years to learn, so, and I'm still learning. So.
Good thing you got more
we all
time.
will.
Good
But
deal.
that's all there is in my life. Otherwise, nothing happens. So,
Yeah, right.
What about Mom?
what's that?
What about your mom?
Well,
Your mom.
your grandma, your mother,
Abby.
You know that
Are
chick.
you sure?
she was 16 when I met her. I saw
There,
her
Robert.
Now it comes out.
Hey, Haley.
I figured they were too young. I was back from the service. And then I saw Norma walk by, so I went out and asked her if I could take her out. And so she had to ask her parents if that was okay. But her dad was worried because here I was 5 years older than her, come back from the service, and things like that. So as soon as she turned 17, which was 4 days before I turned 22, on the day after that we got married. So I robbed the cradle.
You're fast.
No kidding, it was birthday.
Yeah, so now you know my personality. So,
Hustler.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends. I've met a lot of people in my life. I still keep contact with a lot of them.
That's nice.
I've got one little gal. Well, she's not little anymore. She's 50 years old. But I was in the service with her father, and I went to the wedding they had on the Christmas Eve in California there. And the the wife, the mother died earlier. And my friend who I was in the service with died of Alzheimer's about 20 years ago. But she has the contact with me, and I tell her about her father and parents and things like that. And so I just sent her my phone number, so I sort of just talk. I'm not a computer expert, anything like that. I can manipulate part of it, but I really don't research computers. But that's all my life is. When I was a kid, nothing was wrong in the world. Everything was okay. So,
Hey, grandkids, ask Grandpa why he doesn't eat chicken.
what's that?
Why don't you eat chicken?
Well, I had a brother a year older than me. I don't know what the heck he did, but they had me I had to carry water out to the cow. I had to milk the goat, milk the cow. I had to, everything other errands around the house I had to do. I had to kill the chicken and clean it, stuff like that. He never did. And
There's always a brother like that, huh?
yeah.
I had four of
He
them.
died early.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Shush, I'm telling.
Yeah, he actually died of radiation poisoning. He was in the flight squadron with the Navy. They went through the atomic bombs that were set off in Nevada, and they got him through the clouds. So he died of radiation poisoning, actually.
Wow.
So,
With the wings.
but anyway, when I was young, before I got married, my sister was a horse girl. She raised horses, just quarter horses, but she also rode the rodeos.
Is that what this is behind you, Grandpa?
Well, that's when I was part of it.
Hey.
But she would ride the saddle bronc, believe it or not, exhibition.
That's crazy.
Her husband rode the bulls and the saddle broncs.
Is this Laura?
What's that?
Is this which sister?
How do you-
Is it Laura?
Beverly.
No, not Laura.
Beverly?
Beverly?
No, it was Beverly. And we both rode in the rodeo at Salt Lake from the Centennial.
Cool.
Beverly broke her ankle. I got bucked off. And that's before they plowed the ground. They didn't plow the ground then.
Oh.
So when you land on the ground, you felt it. So, but I rode several rides and made some money. But I just realized I could get hurt. So after a year, I quit doing it. So probably the best thing for me. I actually had one horse that I was landing on my back. And the hind horse came on both sides of my head. Wow.
Yeah, you lucked out.
So I was lucky. I knew I should quit.
Dad, didn't she ride with the Golden Spurs?
Beverly did, my sister, yeah. She rode the Golden Spurs here in Salt Lake. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, she did a lot of barrel racing. So.
That's fun.
How long did you bronc ride, Grandpa?
What's that?
How long did you ride bronc?
How much did I what?
How long
Did you ride
did you
broncs?
ride bronc
Oh,
in
that-
rodeo?
Oh, I did for 1 year.
1 year?
Yeah,
Wow, that's enough.
That's how I really liked it.
So do you have any injuries that are permanent from that?
No, I was very
Lucky.
Look around the room how many people are here. No, he's fine.
Well, I don't have any pain now.
Bragger. Yeah, bragger.
I can still play racquetball. I can still run. I do a
Yeah.
lot of walking. I do physical exercise and things like that. I take care of my own yard landscaping and help people build here and there, help them out. So I got paint when I get tired.
I got a house to
If
paint.
I'm not tired.
How many siblings did you have, Grandpa?
What's that?
How many siblings did you have?
With my own kids?
No, your brothers and sisters.
Oh, there was 8 of us. There was 4 boys and 4 girls.
Perfect.
But I was number 3 in line. Well, now I'm number 1 in line.
Yeah.
But I've been longer than anybody in my family.
That
My
happens.
immediate family, like my
Right.
parents. And, I have one aunt that lived to be just 2 weeks of 100. I had an uncle,
2 weeks from 100?
but last time I saw him was 94.
Oh.
And I lost track of what was happening with him. But some died earlier, and things like that. My grandmother on my mother's side passed away at 89. My mother's father passed away about 65. He had a heart attack, and in those days just made you lay in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way they handled it, because they didn't know what else to do. So.
Right.
And he lived about 3 years that way, then passed away. So. But I have a history of some longer living, and some have gone pretty quick here. So.
Huh.
But,
From heart?
yeah, I had one brother who, he's around about 45. He'd been doing a lot of sanding, but he had aches in his arms and stuff like that, and went to the doctor. Didn't tell the doctor anything about it, so I didn't check him out on it. Came home and fell over dead. So,
Is that Uncle Bruce?
yeah, the Bruce.
That's Bruce.
Mhm.
So what, did he have a heart attack then?
Yeah, he had a heart attack. So, but I'm not the oldest guy that I know. Like one of my best friends is 97 now.
Right.
And he still drives, can still get around. He's
Oh, how wonderful.
He can still get around. So,
Does he live here?
yeah, in fact, I went out and saw him for a while today. So.
Yeah.
They carried mail together, yeah.
Huh?
They carried mail together there.
I'll be
His name's
darned.
Jack. Grandpa has coffee with him. He still goes to coffee with all of his buds.
Isn't that great?
Well, I have a lot of friends I have coffee with. And to me, that's my life. So
That's nice.
you build good friendship, and everybody I find, if they're negative, I drop them.
Yeah.
If they're a positive thinker,
You
I
don't
can go
need
and
that.
get, then I stay with them. And that's the kind of people I look for.
Makes sense.
I'm not a negative person myself. I refuse to be negative. People ask me, are you having a good day? I said, I've run out of bad days. So, but that's why I live my life. I mean, I know life isn't always easy. I've had my ups and downs. But I know there's always the better end if you look for the best, the positive and work towards it. So, and that's the way I've run my life. So,
Good.
I've worked hard. Maybe that's why I can still do things. I don't know.
Yeah.
My every day was around 12 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, raising a family. So,
Wow.
so they never knew me hardly.
Oh, we knew you, Dad.
But I didn't know what welfare was. So
What?
I didn't know what welfare was, so I had to take care of them myself. So, but they're pretty well. They've done pretty good for themselves. So I can't complain.
I think all your kids did. What were you gonna ask him?
Well, what I say though, I see a lot of great grandchildren, a lot of great grandchildren. Now Carissa in Central Utah has a great grandchild.
That's right.
So
Is she the first one to have great great?
So,
Yay!
Grandma Choo Choo.
That's right.
Tracks in front of my house.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
so you can get an idea how old I really am. So.
And we are
Where did
certainly
you
blessed.
grow up?
What's that?
Where did you grow up?
Well, when did I grow up?
No, where?
I don't remember. I don't think I ever grew up.
Okay, where did you reside from?
I lived on 2nd West and 33rd South. Do you know where that
Second
is?
lesson.
Oh yeah.
They call it 300 West now,
300 West and what?
and 33rd South.
33rd South.
You know
Right
where
by
that-
Granite
that
High
office
School.
supply isn't there?
Yeah.
Just
we
be
all
out
went
there.
to.
And
Oh.
before that, they had to move because they built a freeway over the house we lived in. So that's
Wow.
where I-15 goes past. And
Wow.
so, but I lived between the tracks. I wasn't on one side of the track. I was just between the tracks.
So you could date both sides.
There was a BNRGW on the west, and Union Pacific on the east. We were about a block apart either way there. So,
Wow.
but that's my life in a nutshell. I'm just a person like anybody else. So,
Well, that was a good life.
what's that?
That was a good life.
Well, I'll try to make it a good life anyway. So, and I like to work with people. I like to help people when I can.
You know, my saying is, life is what you make it.
Exactly right. And that's just the way I feel about it. So,
Yeah.
but that's what it is in a nutshell. So,
Grandpa, what was your first paying job?
my first paying job.
Uh-huh.
I worked out the smelters when I was one summer. No, I was 10 years old.
Uh-huh.
I planted pansies in the wintertime for a gardener.
Wow.
And then I did a lot of
Yeah, how much did you get paid?
10 cents an hour.
10 cents an hour.
That's all, just for the record, that's all he paid me.
Just for the record, that's all Dad paid me.
For the summer, I used to go on farms and work in beans, whatever they had.
Uh-huh.
Even rake hay, even though I was around 12, 13 years old, I still did that.
Wow.
Stuff like that. So,
Hard
but my
work.
dad beat me though. He was using a tractor when he was 8 years old. when he was
Wow.
old, so, but my dad, parents came from Switzerland, actually Swiss German, My mother's parents came, her father came from Norway, her mother came from England. So, but then my dad was actually one 1/4 Jew, so I'm 1/8 Jew.
Oh,
That's
really?
where I get my business sense. So,
Funny.
but I mean that's my life. I had a good life even growing up as a kid. So,
That's awesome.
but we used to run down the river and swim in the river in the creek. There was a bank about 15 feet high over Cottonwood Creek, over around about 60 south. We'd go over there and swim and dive off the bank. Well, I was afraid I'd dive too far, so I'd dive shallow. And this shoulder went out of place as I hit the bank.
Oh.
But the rest of the body went in the water. I was okay. So that way I didn't participate in basketball or sports because I could have thrown it out. It won't now, but it could have been. So
Where did you meet Grandma?
I met her in Salt Lake City.
And a cradle.
Was it on State Street where I met Tyson and
No,
where
we're
my
on
dad used to drive to?
3300 South and Second West. That's Second West.
You met her at your house?
Third
Well,
South.
she
There's
lived
the
in
second house from the corner.
She was 2 houses away?
No, that's 2 houses from 33rd South.
Oh, okay.
And then she lived about 4 or 5 houses down the block, about a block away further towards town.
Oh, cool.
And so when they came out of school, they'd walk past me. And I was just home from the service, so I was looking for girls.
Did you have a van, Grandpa? Did you have a van?
Rate them as they walk by.
But I've had a Model A Roadster, which I enjoy driving. I had a 28 Chevy, or Buick rather, and I had a couple of old cars, like 37 Ford. I bought it for around about $100 something. That's a lot of money then.
Oh, wow.
We bought our first new car in 1950. It was a Pontiac. We rode up the train to Montpelier, Idaho, picked it up and drove it back. Then I lied to the state and told them that I lived up there, so I didn't want to pay sales tax.
That's the Jewish part?
That's the Jewish part.
Grandpa, did you have one of those?
What's that?
He's an honest liar. I like it.
Model T Fords when they first came out?
I
just a
saw
deal,
them, I worked for
really.
them. I didn't own one, but I liked my Model A though.
Yeah.
And then I had a Ford Mustang. The part of the front end was pushed in a little bit, but it cruised right along. But if I drove on the road 20 miles an hour or went down the highway 100 miles an hour, it's the same fuel. It took 17 miles per gallon, no matter how fast I was going.
Wow.
Now, when I was a kid, if someone had an automobile, they were rich.
I know. Well, I was rich.
Daddy, what was that big white wagon you used to take us to the drive-in movies?
Which one is that?
The big white.
Oh, it's a
Station wagon?
Ford station wagon. The engine was quiet. It was just like a whisper. You never heard it. It really was. I mean, just like that. It's all noise you heard out of it. So,
Cheryl,
Don't
was
forget the Nash
that
Rambler.
when we saw
What's
Sound
that?
of
Don't
Music?
forget the Ramblers.
well, I've had a lot of cars in my life.
Well, I heard the Ramblers, you drove around without doors for a long time.
Camelot.
Well, that's where you're driving.
Yeah.
But I've also, but I've flipped houses. I've actually lived and owned about 16 houses in my lifetime, which is a little more than what most people own. But in most cases, I made money, except the last one. I lost money, but I was still ahead, so it didn't matter. So.
How much was the first house you bought?
How much?
How much?
Well, we built the first house, and I think we built it for around about $1,800, something like that.
Whoa.
Wow.
Well, there was no labor. We did our own work.
Daddy,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been 3,600.
The second house we built, it cost me around about $10,000, but it's bigger. Had full basement and stuff like that.
Is that the red brick one?
No, that's the one on 3385 South.
No, the
That's
red
where we
brick.
raised him.
Jacoy's
had-
bikes cost.
But I got a bunch
Jamie's
of guys
bikes cost.
together, and we actually built a way to wheel the wheelbarrow around.
Oh, yeah.
We mixed it in a mixer, and we had about 10 of them going there. And we poured that large foundation like that. It took us about 8 hours, but we got it all done, so.
So, Grandpa, how did it affect you during the war when they had to have food stamps?
I wouldn't affect it much because I was in the service. And I was in cadet training, so we had ate like the officers' mess, and I have steaks 3 times a day.
Yeah, you know, we lived on a farm.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but we lived right next to a mining camp.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and they stole a lot from us.
I
But
can believe that. Yeah.
my dad said, well, they must have needed it more than us, and you know. But anyhow, the food stamp was,
Yeah,
that
it's
was,
quite. Plus,
it didn't affect us because we lived on
You
a
had your
farm
own
and
food
lived
there.
off the farm. But the people in the mining
Yeah.
camp,
Oh, also the gas rationing too is in effect.
yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I was never bothered by that much because it was a service anyway, so
Yeah.
it didn't matter. But the best deal I had in the service, I sent me up to Missoula, Montana, to Montana State University, what they called kind of a high school redo again, before I went into flight school. And they had women serving us, would drink a quart of milk a day, each meal. I mean, and that was 100% milk. So,
Wow.
and I went up to 160 pounds, but it's mostly muscle. We were working out all the time. It isn't like it is now.
You're working it, Dad.
So, but I still have muscles. I still work out.
Yeah.
But the guys at McDonald's asked me if anybody could do push-ups. I said, yeah, I can do push-ups. I hadn't done it for a couple of years. But, so how many can do? I said, well, let me do it and I'll show you. I did 35 push-ups for him.
Wow.
How long ago was that?
That was about 6 months ago.
Maybe you should race him on that too.
So,
Grandpa kicks his butt in racquetball.
I can do 50
Yeah, he did.
push-ups, and I qualify for the Green Beret because that's all they require.
There you go.
So,
Wow.
but the whole thing in life is to keep active, keep a good spirit, and create friends, be good with them. That makes your life very, very enjoyable. So, oh yeah, I do enjoy life. So that's why I haven't died yet. I haven't had a chance to go. But that's about it. So otherwise, I'm just a normal person. So.
What's your favorite sport besides racquetball?
Um,
Did you do anything in high school that was
oh no, taking a nap.
taking a nap?
Said you never do that, Dad.
I used to climb the rope all the time with my hands.
Yeah?
In the gymnasium when I was
Just your hands?
yeah. Mm-hmm. That's when I was around about.
Bangerter strength.
I was in about the 3rd or 4th grade, something like that. So,
Wow.
so
That's
there was
crazy.
no problem. I wasn't a heavy person or anything like that.
Did you run track or play football or anything?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't play football on account of my
Oh,
shoulder.
because of your shoulder.
So, and I didn't play basketball because of that reason.
But you swim.
Oh, I swam all the time, yeah. I swam a lot.
You
And-
golf.
Oh, you golf?
What's that?
You golf?
I golf quite a bit too. In fact, I got
You still golf?
No, I haven't gone out. Well, it's too expensive now. So. I used
In
to
Utah's
golf.
pretty cheap.
I used to golf for $3 for 9 holes.
Wow.
That's all they can. So.
How long ago was that?
It was about 20 years ago.
Wow.
So. But it's all up front now. It's around about 30 or 40 bucks.
Did you ever go out to Saltaire and go dancing before it burned down?
Yeah, went out there. Used to ride the Bangerter.
What's the Bangerter?
That's a train that used to go to Farmington and back in out to Salt.
Oh,
It's
really?
just like a streetcar.
Funny.
Yeah. But I even went out there and helped them try to refurbish it because it was quite a dance place.
Yeah.
Salt Air was. They brought the big bands in and everybody went out there and danced. But they let it go for a while. The Salt Air deteriorated along the way. And I went out there and spent several days trying to help them sand it out and they finally gave up. So. But it was quite a place. But I had a friend when I was in the service, a little gal, and her family, they came to visit me in Salt Lake after I was out of service. And so they wanted to go out to Salt Air, out to Great Salt Lake. And I meant to tell her don't put her head underwater. Well, she started swimming.
Oh, no.
She suffered. She really did. So.
Daddy, you used to play tennis.
What's that?
You used to play tennis.
But yeah, when I was in
You and Mom.
the FAA back in Thermal, California, which is about Cold Springs, we used to play tennis most of the time. They had tennis courts all over the place. And So, but I played with the supervisor. Didn't matter who it was. We played.
But didn't you play with Mom when
What's
you were
that?
younger before
Yeah,
when you
Mom did
got
a little
married?
bit of it. She couldn't. It was a little hard for her to move around. But Jack Lind, my older friend, and his wife, and Norman and I would play. It was
Did you
fun.
used to dance on skates?
I forget where we're at. There were just different places.
No, did you used to dance on skates with Mom, skating?
Dance on roller skates?
No, she didn't roller skate. I roller skate.
Oh,
Did you dance on roller skates?
I never danced, but I could swim or twirl.
There you go, that's
there you
dancing.
go. That's dancing.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty good. Next to what most of us can do, that's pretty good.
So, but I've done bowling. I haven't done a lot of it, but I can make strikes.
Have you jumped out of an airplane?
No, I took parachute jumping training, but I never had to jump out of an airplane.
I've never jumped out of an airplane.
I enjoy flying airplanes.
It's fun.
They're fun, just like what the picture there shows.
Yeah, I saw that. That was awesome.
So, they're really fun. I enjoy flying.
How long have you been a pilot? How long, your license probably expires, right?
I was 16. When I
16?
I went in the service. I came back and finished my training.
Wow.
But my license is outdated now, but I could get it redone again by taking a physical and a checking flight.
Wow.
But it's like driving a car. You don't forget it. It all happens the same.
Wow. That is crazy.
Yeah, you can go 20 years and not drive a car and get in a car and not have any trouble, right?
Yeah,
Well, I do the
probably.
same thing with airplanes.
Wow.
Didn't you have a friend that you and he had a plane together? That you bought a
Well,
plane together?
we did uranium hunting. There's 4 of us here.
You did what hunting?
Uranium hunting.
Uranium?
Yeah, we had the Thunderbolt Radio Corporation.
Oh.
Dad is working for the Iranians.
Well, we went down,
Uranium.
we went down to Colorado Plateau. We used to take a lot of claims out and stuff like that. Made out the brochures. And they sold them on this penny market at that time. Got a lot of money in stock. But that's when we actually processed the ore. That was we dug it up and stuff like that. We actually had a drilling machine, and people who were used to mining were working with us. But it just wasn't enough grade or high enough grade to make it worthwhile.
It wasn't profitable.
So it wasn't profitable, so we just disbanded. I ended up with $200 when I got through.
You could have bought 2 cars.
Yeah, but it's quite an experience to go through though. It's I learned a lot about business with that.
What about your carpet cleaning business?
Well, I did for Duraclean carpet cleaning. I tried that out, but you use a sponge, not a machine.
Oh, wow.
So it's all hand processing. And I finally realized I wasn't making enough money at it, so I sold it to a person in Caldwell, Idaho. And took it up there. And he paid me for about 2/3 of it, and never sent me any more money. So, but I had to get out of it, and I didn't want to be stuck for another $500 or $600 or $1,000 or whatever it was. So,
Wow.
but if I was going to do floor cleaning now, the one we use is that Zero Res. They're in Salt Lake here, they're in Boise. But they don't use any detergents. They use ionized water. So nothing left in the carpet at all, really clean. So
Do you think that's better than steam cleaning?
what's that?
Do you think that's better than steam cleaning?
I think it is steam and the.
Well, it's hot water he uses, but it's ionized water, so it doesn't leave any trace or anything like that. And it really cleans. So,
How many different jobs have you had? Different careers and jobs?
I can't count that high.
What was your longest job?
My longest job, the
Tile.
FAA,
Oh, that's right.
air traffic control.
What did he say?
Air traffic control in the FAA.
Oh.
I worked at Salt Lake Center for 8 years. I'd already worked at the post office 13 years. I was in the service about 2 years. And I busted the program because I had a guy every time make a mistake and swear at me, and I wasn't used to swearing. So it cut off my thinking.
When you worked in the post office, were you
You know, I
in the
worked
post office?
I carried mail, so.
Carried
Yeah, for 13
mail,
years.
yeah.
For how long?
13 years.
I remember
boy.
my dad complaining that he said he hated his shoes and he would drag them to where they would wear out. This is a story I heard.
Yeah.
And then you would turn around and buy him the same black shoes from the post office.
Well,
All right.
we spent $2 for For sure, it's not a lot of money that day.
Yeah.
It really was. But anyway, I worked for the post office, and then I quit for a family program, which didn't work out for nurse home. And so then I got a job up at Hillfield working with statistics on the F-104 aircraft. It's a short-wing aircraft fighter. And after a year of that, I quit and came back. And I'd taken the test for air traffic controller and passed it when they called me in. So I stayed at the FAA after that. So
Grandpa, you've done it all.
yeah, but I retired after about 8 years there. And I missed the work. But in the meantime, I went and worked for the church on Temple Square, and I worked in security. I sat under the flagpole. That's where the office was. You had a route right into the temple, stuff like that. And while I was there, President Ford came through, and I happened to be walking in towards the temple, and I didn't know he was coming through. But I shook hands with him, and they knew I was okay because I was in security anyway. So that's close I came to a president. That's close.
Hold on, Grandpa. President Ford is it of the country or a president of the church?
There wasn't a President Ford at the church.
Yeah, what's his name?
I know. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, President Ford of the country.
He was walking through President
Yeah,
Ford.
well, he came to visit the church.
Oh, that's
And then bring him back down to the temple school.
Grandpa, I met President Ford too,
Oh, you have? Where at?
in Palm Springs.
Oh, yeah, that's where he lives.
Yeah.
I almost bought a home there. They had the sliding doors for patios, about 4 in each building. And I could have bought it for $60,000. If I sold it today, I thought it was $15 million.
dang.
But I also went down to Las Vegas, and we homesteaded some ground, or we're going to. And that's where the ground when I moved to Las Vegas and built, Jess and I. Well, that's the same ground that I could have had almost nothing. And I could have sold it, so. But that was, I didn't want to go down there every year and have to spend time on it. But I enjoyed government work, I enjoyed the FAA. I liked working with the pilots and with the people who I worked with. Because everybody, no matter what you pass off to them, you're going to be taken care of. You didn't have to worry about it, so, and vice versa there. So, but I like to work the radio position in the flight service, and you'll be talking a mile a minute. One time I was in thermal, and my one supervisor was giving me a checkout, which they did every year. And this big scrap of man started coming along the taxiway to take off. I knew to an engine was coming inbound. And I'm not supposed to control the flight service. I'm supposed to give the advisories. But I had a hit click. I was busy talking to several aircraft. And I said, Bonanza so-and-so, hold your position.